Yisrael. Ba'anim rochastecha, avo beitecha, Eshtachave, el echad kodechecha, be'yiratecha, el echad kodechecha, be'yiratecha, yiratecha.
Mishkan kevodecha, vani estachave vechla, evrecha livnei Adonai, Lecha Adonai, Ezratzon, Elohim, berov chasdecha, aneni be'emet, yishecha,
Welcome back to the live streaming of Rosh HaShanah services from Bet David in Sandton, Johannesburg. These services are the services of Bet David in Sandton, the services of Bet Menorah in Pretoria, and the services of Bet David in Durban. Yesterday we had a welcoming address from Wilfred Lautenberg from Pretoria, the chairman of Bet Menorah in Pretoria, and today we will have the opening address by Roy Shotland from Bet David in Durban. Thank you.
Good evening, Rabbi Shaul, Chairman Desmond Sweek, President Wilfred Lautenberg, and congregations. Firstly, a very big thank you to Rabbi Shaul, Desmond Sweek, Robin and Louise Sinclair, and all involved for arranging and setting up our virtual holiday services. By doing this, you've allowed our congregations to still observe our Rosh HaShanah and Yom Kippur with meaning and purpose. As we begin Rosh HaShanah in a very different way, we must still be aware that it is the time in which we reflect on the past year and renew our spiritual attachment. We also renew our commitments to ourselves, our families, friends, our synagogue, and community. I remind you that during the 10 days of awe, it is repeated many times, the three main observances of Rosh HaShanah and Yom Kippur: Teshuvah, Tefillah, Tzedakah, repentance, prayer, and charity. We may not be able to attend our synagogues, but we can observe and fulfill our duties. On behalf of Beit David, I wish you all Shana Tova U'Metuka.
Good morning, welcome to our service. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך. I thank you, living and eternal power, for returning my soul to me with compassion. Great is your faithfulness. This is a special journey we have undertaken since Friday evening, welcoming a new year, welcoming a new chapter in our lives. This morning's service is full of blessings, and I hope you all take them to your hearts and you make them into reality. Please remember the beauty of your own body, the beauty of the world around you, the beauty of the birds just chirping in the tree. Use them as a source of strength in times of darkness. Use the light of the sun as something which warms you up when you need it. And use the thunder, as we heard it yesterday afternoon, which brought the blessing of the rain to Johannesburg. Use the thunder to wake up from a moment of depression and embrace that you have the ability to change the world. We use this morning our wonderful Machzor for the High Holidays, the Rosh HaShanah edition of the Mishkan HaNefesh. If you don't have a physical copy in front of you, please use the online edition, which was thankfully made available by the CCAR. It is on the website ccar.co/MHN-RH. We will begin our service on page 130 with the opening of the so-called Psukei de Simra, the blessings or the verses of praise. Baruch Shama v'haya ha'olam,
Baruch Hu,
Baruch Ozeh v'hereshit, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Omer v'oseh, Baruch Hu, Baruch Gozer u'mekayem, Baruch Shemo. Baruch merachem al haaretz, Baruch Hu, Baruch merachem al habriot, Baruch Shemo, Baruch meshalem zachatov lire'av, Baruch Hu, Baruch hana'at bekayam lanetzach, Baruch Shemo. Praise the one who rescues and set free. Blessed is your name, our sovereign. We praise you with songs of celebration. Your oneness is the life of the cosmos. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot. And we continue with the Ashrei on page 132.
אשרי יושבי ביתך ותהללוך סלה.
אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילה לדוד, ארוממך אלוהי המלך, וברכה שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, והללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, גבורותיך יגידו.
הדר כבוד הודיך, ולבני נפלותיך עשיך.
ועזוז נורותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
זכר רבצוך יביאו, וצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדל חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
עיני כל אליך יסדרו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קורב, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ושבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם, הללויה.
Hallelujah, 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 el ber kocho, בשופר, הללו בין נבל וחילות, הללו בין טוב ומחול, הללו במינים ועוגב, הללו, הללו, בצלצלי שמה, הללו, הללו, בצלצלי תשועה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה, הללויה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה, הללויה.
Blessed are we, blessed our gathering, as we open our hearts to the voice of the shofar. We're on page 136.
Happy are we who hear its call to return, the sacred trumpet of Teshuvah.
Blessed are we, held close by an ancient sound, the echoes Ledor Vador from generation to generation.
Happy are we, rising to the joyful cry of a new year.
Blessed are we who hear in the blast of sound the voice of community.
Happy are we who know its embrace, its season of celebration, its quest for connection and purpose.
Holy is this gift of community, blessed the act of belonging. If you are able to, please rise as we open the ark for the first sound of the shofar on this morning. Shema Yisrael HaKudashah shofat bakol, alfei rechava paneha, melo olam sheninata, hakol lechat. Hear, O Israel, the divine abounds everywhere and dwells in everything. Its faces are infinite, its sounds, its sources suffuse all, the many are one.
Shofar for Rosh HaShanah morning, E2, Pretoria. Tekiah. Shalom Teruah.
The night before, Rabbi Tamara asked us where we are, who we are, what we feel our purpose is on this world. The Shema gives us some direction by asking us to embrace everything that surrounds us. From the thunder to the silence, from the chatter of children to the words of old of our tradition, from nature to man-made creation, from the beat of our hearts to our love to God. Please join us on page 142 for the Varechu. Thank you. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotze or vorei choshech osei shalom uvorei et hakol or olam ba'atzor chayim orod me'ofel amar vayhi. Page 144, המאיר לארץ ולדרים עליה ברחמים ובטובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית. מה רבו מעשיך אדוני? כולם בחוכמה עשית מלאה הארץ קנייניך. תתברך אדוני אלוהינו על שבע מעשה ידיך ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפרוך סלע. אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. Page 147. All life springs from a single fountainhead. Listen, Israel, know the oneness at the heart of multiplicity. We love and reverence bear witness to Mekor HaChaim. Baruch Ata Adonai, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. תשמע, page 150.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol meodecha. V'heyu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom, al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, ובשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Meditation on the Shema. Israel, your covenant with God is made of choices, holiness or profanity, life or its destruction. You can never keep from choosing. If you set yourself to love God with everything you have, to obey God with your entire heart, God's gifts will be yours. A vital earth, its seas, and continents moving slowly in their own way. The rain and sun and snow and clouds forming and changing each in their own way. If God's unity is always before you, all these will nourish and delight, even longer than your days. The hills, the rainforests, the ice flows, and the deserts. The infinity of life that nests and grows here on earth with us. Every living thing will bless you, will welcome you as neighbor. What you produce will multiply in goodness, and you will not lack for what you need. But if you forget God and choose instead to fashion gods of your own, if they spring up everywhere for you in endless thirst for something undiscovered, you may lose everything you have, your family and your sustenance, your reason for being and your place of burial. This blue-green earth, so beautiful, so solitary, is as fragile as you are and as precious. Beware lest in giving way to excess, you risk too much. Remember this and take it to heart. Teach it to those who come after you. Place it in their hands, plant it in their minds. Meditate on these things at home and on the road, awake and asleep, in the beginning and at the end. Try to find them in every place we call our home.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Page 162. From Egypt you redeemed us, Adonai, our God, and from the slave house you set us free. For this the people who felt your love exalted you, and the ones whom you found precious sang hymns of praise, blessing and thanks to the living God who reigns forever, high and exalted, inspiring wonder, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captives and redeems the oppressed and sustains the poor. God responded to the cry of our people, their prayer in time of need. Sing praise to God Most High, most blessed source, of blessing. As Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang this joyous song to you. Shana Tova. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Even though I cannot see you, I can feel your presence. Celebrating with us the turning of a new year together at Beit David. Even as we wrestle with the realities of the past year, the coronavirus crisis around us, we are here today to affirm our belonging in sacred community, our place in the world. We reaffirm our commitment to doing teshuvah, to radically returning to balance, and to serving the healing of a greater society to which we belong. 6 years ago, at this time, I was standing in front of you in the old synagogue, freshly arrived in South Africa, embarking on a new journey with you and the community. One of the gifts granted to me in the past years was to be part of many welcoming ceremonies for newborn babies, a Brit Milah ceremony in someone's home, a baby naming in shul, or at one of the wonderful locations we have in South Africa. All those ceremonies had one thing in common: the emotion displayed by the babies. We, who are mainly heirs to Western civilization, have come to think of mind, emotion, and body as separate. But as science tells us, mind, emotion, and body are one integrated whole. When a baby is delighted, it rocks back and forth, or it calls out with joy and jumps up and down. When it is frightened, its whole body is tense and face contracts, and the baby screams. I'm curious. Make a note internally. When was the last time you expressed emotion like a baby does? Most of us don't scream when we are scared, or rock when we are happy, or wave our arms when we are frustrated, because we learned that this kind of expression is not appropriate in a polite society. Most of us have not only stopped expressing our feelings through our body in public, but also in private. And most of us have lost the habit of feeling our emotions in our bodies. In other words, we think about sadness or fear or joy or anger as cognitive states, and ignore the heaviness in our chest, and the ache in our arms, the flush on our faces. This has been a year of strong emotions. COVID, lockdown, homeschooling, Zoom services, job losses, new jobs, moving places, saying goodbye to loved ones. A lot is going on. I have been thinking quite often about how we might gain awareness of our inner states and our emotional reaction to them. One thing I learned, when we dissociate from the physical experience of our emotions, it is like that one of two things will happen. We will either repress the emotions, becoming unaware that we are sad, for instance, or we will be overtaken by the emotion, for instance, lashing out in rage or frustration. We may be resistant to them at first, but the more we resist, the worse it gets, because emotions will not stop living in our bodies until we feel them. It is often when we repress emotions or act when we are triggered that we get into the situations that call us to do teshuvah and to seek forgiveness. The Torah contains many iconic stories of acting out of a triggered person and do not end well. Let me share one with you. Moses is annoyed with the people for complaining about thirst. God tells Moses to order a rock to yield water, but Moses strikes the rock with his staff, not once, but twice, saying, "Listen, you rebels, shall we get water for you from this rock?" Water comes from the rock, but God tells Moses that because he did not trust in God, he will not enter the land. Moses doesn't seem aware of how triggered he is by the people's demands. He does not take a moment to cool off. So, to speak, to take a deep breath, to shake and tremble, to feel the anger. Chavarim, when we banish feelings or stay in a triggered response, we are not home in our bodies. We are trying to escape, and it doesn't usually go well for us. In the past months, I found myself struggling with strong emotions when so many of you shared how you have lost someone to the pandemic. How so many of you and others weren't able to bid farewell to their loved ones in a dignified way. Often, the words of the Unitane Tokef came flooding in. Who will live and who will die? Who by war and who by a plague? Some days it was almost all I could think about. I know many of you had similarly strong reactions to the ongoing crisis. In those moments, I allowed myself to feel the pain and to share your pain and to embrace it as a part of who we are, of who I am. Rumi, a 13th century Persian mystic, teaches about embracing our feelings in his poem, Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Here we are reminded that emotions are great teachers. We are asked so often ourselves to feel them and listen to what they have to tell us. At the beginning of a new year, a new journey for all of us, I invite you all to let your feelings move through you. Welcome them all and watch how they pass through you. This year, with the world needing us to take more care of ourselves and our loved ones, and our own souls calling us to Teshuvah, may we commit to the practice of feeling emotions, allowing them to be our teachers, so that we can act wisely for the sake of ourselves and each other. Shana Tova. I invite you now to use those feelings, those emotions, for the Amidah, which is the standing prayer. And our tradition teaches that all our bodies should exclaim the praise of the Eternal. So if you are able to, please rise. We're on page 166. Prayer is a step on which we rise from the selves we are to the selves we wish to be. Prayer affirms the hope that no reality can crush the aspiration that can never acknowledge defeat.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftachu fi Yagiteinatecha. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftachu fi Yagiteinatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, ve'Elohei Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei כתובנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים.
מלך חוזה ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך שמו.
מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
מחכה חיים חסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי
The fantasy of the Book of Life and God's judgment is memorable, but the extraordinary aspect of the prayer is its emotional impress. Any of us might die of anything, anytime, when, now or later, with or without warning, who by stroke and who by cancer, and who by famine and who by plague, who by collision and who by explosion. We are grass, glass, shadow, cloud, Adam.
Certainly it is imaginary. How else but through imagination do you talk about death in a community where you spend your life, with the people you know, the people you do business with, the people who help you, love you, employ you, exasperate you. Indirection and fable are forms of delicacy. They create an atmosphere in which painful subjects can be raised without speaking of specific deaths that have wounded the people you know. The Utane Tokef was written in a time when fear and sorrow were closer to the surface of public life than they are now. But in private life, we still know that security is a thin veneer. God suspends the earth over the void, says the poet in the Yom Kippur Shachrit Amidah. The Utane Tokef shows us the thread on which it hangs.
ונתן את תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא ואיום, ובוא תינשא מלכותך, וייכון בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת.
אמת, אמת, כי אתה הוא דיין, דיין ומוכיח, ויודע ועת, ויודע ועת, וחותם וחותם, וסופר ומונה,
וסופר ומונה, וסופר ומונה, וסופר ומונה.
ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומלף יקרא בחותם יד כל אדם בו.
ובשופר גדול יתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפצו, וכאילו רדה יוחזו, ויאמרו הנה יום הדין, הנה יום הדין.
לקרוץ במערב, בנים, בנים, בנים,
כי לא יזכו בעיניך בדין, בדין, בדין. וכל באי עולם, באי עולם, יעברו לפניך, כי נאמרו. כבקורת רואה, 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 מעביר צאנו תחת שיטו, ותביא, ותספור ותמנה, ותבכור נפש, נפש, כל חי.
ותחתוך כזבח בריאה ותפתח גזריהו בראש השנה יקטבון וביום צום כיפור יחתנו כמה יברון וכמה Noach, o mia Noach, mia shkit, o mia toraf, mi shalef, o mi taser, mi ani, o mi ashir, mi yushpal, o mi aram, uteshuva, utefila, utzedaka, ma'avirin, en roa gezerah, ma'avirin, en roa ha'gezerah.
נקדש את שמך העולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה, ואמר,
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו.
אדיר. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושברך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה.
Holy is the dignity that is human, sacred the mystery we call divine. Holy is the sacrifice made for those we love, precious the pains they take for us. Sublime the glory of the heavens above us, sacred the beauty that glows within us. Noble is the mind in search of meaning, the heart is happy that finds its way. Awesome is the power that rules our being, holy the kinship that makes us one.
Honor for Israel, the dream of kavod. So we imagine ourselves vineyards of God, a thriving olive tree, fair and verdant, laden with fruit. Whilst the world despises or ignores us, our sages gave us a dream. A vineyard is guarded and lovingly tended. So through our wandering, God has cared for our people. As olives yield their oil only when pressed, so the people of Israel show its greatness when oppressed. Other liquids mix with one another. Olive oil does not. So Israel stands apart, a people dwelling alone. The nations demean us and cast us away. We took shelter in the stories of honor and love. They called us the vanquished, rejected by God. But we knew ourselves blessed and cherished by you. We carry on our own truth through all our journeys, our dreams of kavod, a place of respect amongst the nations, life and strength for our people, light and peace for our holy land.
Psalm 1. Blessed are the man and the woman who have grown beyond their greed and have put an end to their hatred and no longer nourish illusions, but they delight in the way things are and keep their hearts open day and night. They are like trees planted near flowing rivers, which bear fruit when they are ready. Their leaves will not fall or wither. Everything they do will succeed.
Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our holy sovereign. Amen.
Amen.
קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין אלוהה מלבעדיך, ככתוב, ויגבע אדוני צבאות במשפט, והאל הקדוש נקדש בצדקה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש. I invite you for a short moment of your private prayers. You may use the words in our Siddurim. We meet again on page 220.
These last 2 days have been a challenge for us all. Stream services are new to us. A huge amount of input from a large team has gone into the streaming of our Holy Day services, to whom I would like to say, Kol HaKavod. I hope that the results have been a meaningful Rosh HaShanah services for you. Next Shabbat, our Shabbat Shuvah services will be streamed on Friday evening, 25th of September at 1800 South African time. And then again on Saturday morning, 26th of September at 10 a.m. We will be joined for the Kabbalat Shabbat service by our friends from Temple Israel Hillbrow and Beit Emmanuel in Parktown, so that they can bid farewell to Rabbi Adrian Schell. On Sunday evening, the 27th of September, streaming of our Kol Nidre services for Erev Yom Kippur begins at 1800 South African time. On Monday morning, 28th of September, our Yom Kippur morning services start at 9:30 and will continue throughout the day. The following will be available: at 11:30, our Torah service; at 1 o'clock, Shiur with Rabbi Shagas, and a yoga session with Karine Delahaye. The afternoon service with Torah reading and Vidu will be at 15:30, and at 17:20, Yizkor services. 17:45 will be the Ne'ilah service, and the fast ends at 18:41, which I think gives us a 25-hour fast. For more details, please go to our website, betdavid.org.za, and you can link to our services by using http://tiny.cc/bd-hhd. Thank you from Bet David in Sandton, Bet Menorah in Pretoria, and Bet David in Durban. Shana Tova.
Thank you, Desmond. Before we conclude the first part of our morning service, which will be continued at 11:30 with the Torah and the Shofar service, we're on page 222. I'd like to use the opening words of the prayer of Avinu Malkeinu as a blessing, and then we will open the ark for Avinu Malkeinu and sing together these words of old. Avinu Malkeinu, loving Father, infinite power, gentle, forgiving, lofty, inscrutable. Avinu Malkeinu, compassionate Mother, omnipotent Lord, comforting presence, fathomless mystery. Avinu Malkeinu, our rock and redeemer, life of the universe, close to us always, impossibly far. Avinu Malkeinu, embracing, confounding, accepting our fragility, decreeing our end. Avinu Malkeinu, bless us and inscribe us for a good new year. Please do so. We need your support. And so we rise for the Avinu Malkeinu, page 223. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, v'tahapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kalede ve'becherev, ve'rav me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kalei kotza u'mastin me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, kotmeinu b'sefer chayim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Kadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim.